What is going on, guys? We're bringing you a conversation video about the whole GOAT conversation. Michael Jordan or LeBron is, rather not LeBron or Jordan is the GOAT. Now, I'm going to start by telling you that the whole conversation is completely fraudulent on the side of, explaining why Michael Jordan is the GOAT and LeBron James isn't. Now, neither player is the GOAT, okay? Let's just get that out the way because the GOAT is not an official status. It's just a concept. It's not a reality because there's no actual stipulation in which you have to live up to it in order to be considered a GOAT or the GOAT. That's why it's a conversation. That's all it is a conversation. It's not a reality. So, but I'm going to tell you, I'm basically explaining why the points that people make don't really make any sense when they talk about how, let's say the conversation isn't who's the GOAT. Let's say it's who's better. Okay, who's a better player, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? Okay, when the Cleveland Cavaliers won the championship in 2016 and they beat the 73-9 Golden State Warrior team, people were constantly saying, but Kyrie took the last shot. Even though LeBron James led all players in points, assists, blocks, and rebounds for the NBA Finals. He led all those categories. Okay? Now, when John Paxson and when Steve Kerr hit the game-winning shot in the NBA Finals, nobody said anything about that. It was all about, well, Jordan's MVP and he won another ring. He got another one. That's all it was. But when LeBron does the very same thing, meaning win a championship and have another player hit the game-winning shot, they hold that shot against him. Even though he was the guy leading just about every category, against a team that was 73-9, the best record in NBA history. So, and then another thing is this, because LeBron lost in the finals, here's what's wrong with that logic, okay? Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls never had to play against a 73-9 Golden State Warrior team. We can sit here and say what would have happened. All the fans of Jordan will say, oh, the Bulls would have killed him. Nah, there's no would have, okay? Would haves are not real, okay? We don't know if they would have or not. I can give you a good argument that they would actually struggle against a team that shoots like that, especially with the style of play but that's neither here nor there, okay? Now, take the Cleveland Cavalier team in 07 when they played the San Antonio Spurs. You got 3 Hall of Fame players on the Spurs. When Michael Jordan was on the Chicago Bulls and he was up against a Detroit Pistons team with 4 future Hall of Famers, they did not get past that round. It's the same thing. Jordan never could get there until he had the right type of help. He had good rebounder in Horace Grant. The second time around, it was Rodman, who was a dominant rebounder. He had good role players, good shooters coming off the bench, guys like John Paxson. John Paxson was there in the earlier days, but that team was not built to win at that time. So Michael Jordan's effort got them to the playoffs the same way LeBron's effort got the Cleveland Cavaliers to the playoffs when they could not beat when they couldn't beat the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals. It's a very similar thing. And yes, when LeBron went to the Miami Heat and got his first rings, like this team here, yeah, that it's not fraudulent, but yeah, that team was a little bit stacked. And I'm not just talking about D Wade, and I'm not just talking about, Chris Bosh. They had Sam Battier. They had guys making very good key plays that were bench players as well. They had, Haslam. They had a lot of key players on that team. So yes, if you say he got his ring on a stacked team, you're right, he did. On that team, yeah, the team was stacked. They definitely were. Other teams were stacked too, and this is after the Boston Celtics stacked their team up in 08, and nobody really held that against Kevin Garnett. It was all about Kevin Garnett got his ring. People could stop talking trash about Garnett because he got a ring now. But when LeBron got one, it was all these but this, but that. Okay? Now, LeBron's best ring to me is the 2016 because it was him and Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving's I don't believe they would have had any chance against that team had Kyrie Irving not been there. I'm definitely saying that. Every team that won a championship has at least a few players that you would not have done it without. Jordan, if you take that same Chicago Bull team, and Scottie Pippen is never there at all, and there's no other player to replace him, like another player of that caliber, Jordan may not have ever gotten any rings. Let's say they had no dominant rebounders for that second three-peat in Dennis Rodman. Rebounds are an extremely critical part of winning basketball games. People don't understand it. It's extremely critical. Because defensive rebounds, you take away second chance points from the opposition. Offensive rebounds, you give yourself second chance points. It makes a huge difference on the scoreboard. Michael Jordan was not a master rebounder. He got a couple, but he wasn't, snatching rebounds like that, like where he's a huge difference maker. LeBron James does it sometimes, but he's not a master rebounder. So as far as LeBron or Michael Jordan being better than LeBron as a player, people say he never lost in the finals. That doesn't mean that's a team argument. That's not a player argument. That's a team argument because you have different opponents and different teammates. Rather than that, you can win in the finals. Is a large part of that is based on what type of systems being ran by the coach and what type of players are on your team and what type of opponent you have. All that stuff is going to come into play. It's not like they're playing against the same opponents. Their opponents are completely different. So that argument right there just dies to me. It's a pretty bad point. LeBron went to 10 different NBA finals. 10. He got rings with 3 different teams. Every time he wins a ring, there's all this but this, but that, but this, but that, but this, but that. You can't go there 10 times just by fooling around and getting lucky and I did this, I did that. Oh, he got a ring in the bubble, but that was the bubble. That wasn't a full season. And when he won in 2016 with the Cavaliers, it was but Kyrie took the last shot. That is the most pathetic argument that you can make because they came back from 3-1 and LeBron led just about every single category. And he got the MVP. But all you hear is but he made the shot. But Kyrie made the last shot. The only reason why they say that is because they don't like LeBron and they like Jordan. That's why Jordan doesn't have to do the same things that LeBron does. LeBron's being held to a higher standard. LeBron is not even allowed to let another player hit the game-winning shot. Jordan had other players hit game-winning shots. Nobody complained about it. They just looked. It was still Jordan's team, and he was still the reason they won. But if Ray Allen hits the game winner or Kyrie Irving, he couldn't take the last shot. It had to be one of them. It's because they're creating this tailor-made argument that fits Michael Jordan. And then also, and take this in mind, I'm not saying that LeBron is better. I don't think LeBron is the GOAT or anything like that. I'm just explaining why the conversation is, or the argument or debate is fraudulent and it's complete. It's not relevant. It doesn't pan out for me. It just doesn't work. Because they lost in the finals and Jordan's team never did. That's a horrible point to make because Jordan went to 6, LeBron went to 10, and that is more of a team conversation. Remember, when Michael Jordan's teams didn't have enough help, he didn't even get to the NBA finals. And I'm not holding that against him. It was unrealistic to beat teams like the Celtics with all those great players or the Detroit Pistons with all the great players they had. It was just unrealistic. Just like it was unrealistic for the 07 Cavalier team to beat a San Antonio Spurs team, and they lost by a sweep, and they should have. No, I take that back. They won 4-1. That wasn't a sweep. It was 4-1, I think. I'm gonna have to research that. I might be wrong. I think they may have won one game by a point or something, but anyway, that's kind of like beside the point. My point being, when you're up against that many great players and you have the one great player, you're not going to win like that. There's no time in NBA history that I can look at and say this one great player was on this team and there was 4 Hall of Famers on another team and the one with the one great player ended up winning. I can't think if that ever happened. It was probably, people might say, well, what about the 91 Chicago Bulls? You know, they had, well, Kareem wasn't there anymore by then. You know, Magic was there. He was the back end of his career. That wouldn't be a good example. You know, it just wouldn't. You know, even though the Bulls were the underdog in that series, LeBron is at, his field goal percentage is better than Jordan's. His outside shooting is a higher percentage. LeBron struggles at the free throw line. Michael Jordan is a more athletic player. And here's another thing. They say LeBron is not clutch. LeBron is not clutch. Okay? That is absolutely absurdly ridiculous. And that is because LeBron has made various game-winning shots throughout his career. He has made various clutch plays in his NBA career. In fact, there's a statistic that shows, you know, how many game-winning shots that a person has made since 2008, and LeBron was on there with 17. They were based on, it was, I believe it was from 2008 or 9 through now, and LeBron was up there with 17 game-winning shots or game-tying shots that would eventually lead to victories. And that's just since that time. LeBron is not clutch. What about the Detroit Pistons series when they were trailing and he started hitting them long Steph Curry shots and then they came back and won the series? You're going to tell me that's not clutch? Clutch is not just scoring. Clutch is defense too. People don't understand that. People do not understand that. So, and I'm not saying LeBron made more game-winning shots than Jordan. I don't really know about that statistic, but you know, Michael Jordan missed a lot of game-winning shots too. You know, that would have potentially won the game. He missed a lot of those, as he should have. He's a human. He should miss some of them. You can't just make him every time. You know, I hold nothing against Jordan, and I don't think Jordan's better or worse than LeBron. I think they're just different players, and it's a closer conversation than people want to believe. Now, I do like Michael Jordan's mentality more so than LeBron's. LeBron is a lot more emotionally soft and emotionally caring to other players. And, you know, I like Michael Jordan more in that particular element because he's kind of like a ruthless player. Like, not ruthless as in doing physical harm, but like emotionally ruthless as far as like the way he was a competitor. The chip that was on his shoulder was just too much, was a lot. And that I like Jordan more so than LeBron. But as you can see, this is NBA 2K22, and they actually have the Miami Heat trashing the Bulls. I'm not over here saying that this is what really happened. This is just a game. Who knows? You know, that's beside the point. I'm not even playing this game. This is like a CPU game. Look at Jordan's nice fadeaway. That was a nice looking shot. But yeah, I mean, collectively, as a player, not team, player, I think the conversation's a lot closer than people think it is. Like, it's not that people think that Jordan is that much better. It's that they don't like LeBron. So they say that. That's why they hold things against LeBron that they don't hold against Jordan when he did the same thing. Guys like Skip Bayless saying that LeBron is a horrible shooter when Jordan is worse. Jordan's three-point percentage is worse than LeBron's. But yet, Jordan's great and LeBron's not. I mean, Jordan is better than LeBron. And the arguments they make do not make any sense. It's like one-sided.
That's his first personal foul. First team foul.
And so basically, something's going on with that Scottie Pippen. That doesn't really look like him. And Michael Jordan is colder in this game. But anyway, this isn't even a video game conversation. I'm just using this for the background, for the sake of the video. Like, just, you know, I didn't want to just put my face on the screen and, you know, you sit there and watch me talk. But, you know, I just thought that this was an interesting conversation. And it just irks me the way people say, like, he never lost in the finals. No, but he lost in the playoffs. And that means you didn't make it to the finals. Teams that LeBron were on made it to the NBA Finals 10 times. He got rings from 3 different teams. Eventually, they're going to have to stop saying but this, but that, and just admit that this guy is making a huge... Look, you're just going to eventually just say, look, this dude is making one hell of a difference out there. But yeah, I mean, those are my reasons, you know, why the conversation is just, it just doesn't come together for me. And I do not believe as an individual player, I don't believe that Michael Jordan is actually officially better than LeBron. I think it's a conversation that can be had. I like his mentality more so than LeBron's, like his game player mentality. But I don't think overall as a player he's better. And LeBron is definitely clutch. He's had a lot of clutch moments in his career. I brought up the Detroit Pistons. You know, he had some clutch moments against the Celtics when he was playing with the Heat and they beat them in the playoffs. People just ignore his clutch. When he has clutch moments and clutch games, they just brushing under the rug and just never talk about it. But then when he misses a game-winning shot or doesn't do well in the fourth quarter, everybody's talking. I told you he wasn't clutch. Nobody said that when Jordan missed all his game-winning shots. And he missed a lot of them. LeBron has hit several game-winning shots. He has had several big fourth-quarter games. But to say he's not clutch, that just doesn't make any sense. Either you're lost or you just don't like the guy. Like, you're just not being honest. People are never honest when they have these conversations. And that is the issue with the conversation. So yes, I am actually on record telling you that he is not actually, technically, he's not really a better basketball player. He's not technically a better basketball player. Why do I say that? Because if you take a really bad NBA team, right, and you put the best version of Michael Jordan on that team, the best version of LeBron on that team, or one of each, right? Because that early Chicago Bulls team was not built to win, but with Jordan's efforts, they got to the playoffs and they got eliminated. They didn't have enough people to beat teams like the Pistons and the Celtics. When LeBron was on the Cavaliers in 07, they had Gauskas and Mo Williams and, come on, I mean, give me a break. Daniel Gibson. These are not bad players, but you're not going to sit there and tell me that team could have beaten that San Antonio Spurs team with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, you know, Kawhi Leonard wasn't there yet, but, you know, they just had all these. You can't tell me that team was built to beat that team. But all you hear about is, but LeBron lost in the finals. Nobody says, but Jordan, you know, couldn't get past the Pistons, couldn't get past the Celtics. Because that's basically that's basically just not making it to the finals. So, I mean, if anything, at least LeBron went 10 times. I mean, good grief. 10 times to the NBA Finals? That is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, how do you even get there 10 times? I don't. I mean, how do you even get there 10 times with that many different teams and not be at least considered a possibility of being one of the greatest players, the greatest player of all time? But like I said, there's no greatest player of all time. It's not a real thing, you know. Because I can also say, well, why does it have to be LeBron or Jordan? Why can't other players be on that list? Why can't guys like Kareem or Bill Russell or I mean, these are not people that I think are better. I'm just saying, what is the criteria that makes those two the only two people in the conversation? I've heard people say Kobe Bryant too, a couple times. Now it is interesting conversations to have, but like I said, you know, they don't call it right. Nobody calls it right down the middle when they have these conversations. Nobody does. They either create this tailor-made conversation that makes LeBron look better, or a tailor-made conversation that makes Jordan look better. And it's always an extremely biased, completely one-sided conversation. Why can't we just say, look, Jordan is better than LeBron in some areas, LeBron is better than Jordan in some areas, and it's really hard to say who's a better actual player. I'm not talking about rings, because that's a team conversation. I'm talking about player. Just the difference you make on the floor, the type of player you are, how good you are as a player, field goal percentage, rebounds. By the way, LeBron's field goal percentage is higher, his rebounds are higher. Jordan's steals are better. Jordan is a better lockdown defender. LeBron plays good defense, but Jordan locks down better than LeBron does. Well, at least he did for a majority of his career. You know, he got torched by some players a couple of times, but everybody's going to get torched at some point. But they're both good defensive players. They just play defense differently. So as a man-to-man defender, I'm going to go with Jordan. As a shooter, outside shooter, I'm going to go with LeBron. Getting to the basket, LeBron, as good as LeBron is, I'm going to go with Jordan, because earlier in his career, he was getting a lot of points at that basket, and he was a guard. He didn't develop a good jump shot at that time. So one year he was averaging 37 a game, and a lot of those points were coming at the basket. He was very fast, very athletic, while LeBron is more like a powerful type player. But yeah, like I said, I would go with Jordan on that. I'll go with LeBron on outside shooting because his field goal percentage is higher. LeBron on rebounding. I already told you LeBron would be better. LeBron's more of a blocker. That's naturally because he's just a bigger player. Jordan is better for steals. LeBron is better for assists. You see how it goes? And again, you leave rings out of the conversation because we're talking about player. That individual player. An individual player isn't going to win the finals. That's not possible.
That's his first personal foul.
But as far as facilitating the ball, you got to go with LeBron. Outside shooting, LeBron. Rebounds, LeBron. Lockdown defender, Jordan. You know, athletic ability, Jordan. Getting to the basket, Jordan. Free throws, Jordan. They both beat each other in so many different categories that it's really hard to distinctively put one as the top over the other. I think it's just a conversation. It's not an official thing. And there's going to be a hell of a lot of people that don't like the point that I'm making, but I'm in this video just telling you, no, I don't think LeBron is officially better, nor Jordan is officially better as a player. I just think that people have a lot of bias, one-sided, backwards, crooked conversations as to why Jordan's better. And the stuff they say doesn't even really make sense.